Good day. I want to examine the idea that Malcolm Turnbull, the Prime Minister of Australia, is putting out that we all must adapt Australian values. Now, for a start, fundamentally, it might be called racism because in the years that England went around building its empire, it tried to impose British values upon the rest of the world, and in the end, rightly so, absolutely rightly so, was kicked out of these countries and seen as racist. And it was, there's no doubt about it. The idea you've got to adapt someone else's values is basically a superiority complex. But the thing is, each culture, no matter where it is, thinks its culture is superior. It doesn't matter if it's Aboriginals or Canadians or Americans or New Zealanders or Chinese or Burmese. They all think their culture, that's it, and that's what they like to live through. What values they have brings this beautiful colour to the world. It makes the world interesting. If everyone just in Australia, for instance, adopts these Australian values, which I don't know what they mean, wouldn't it be rather bland here? What is an Australian? What is it that Australians value? A beer? What is it? Australians value so much above everyone else and next their values above better quality values than anyone else. The fact is it doesn't. Here in Australia there's a sort of a parochial system where the more money you have and the bigger car you have and the flashier things you have, the more people seem to crawl around you and agree with whatever you say. Now that is sort of a culture that some people just can't subscribe to. It goes against the values of other people's culture. Not that there aren't other cultures like the Indian culture, which is a little bit similar to that, and the Chinese culture may be a little bit similar to it as well. Because some cultures, because of the patriarchal system, have a sort of an hierarchy that then diverges and comes and explains itself in various ways, manifests itself in various ways, depending on the geography and the history of the people. So when Malcolm Turnbull says people have got to adopt Australian values, does it mean we've all got to drink lots of beer every day? I mean, abuse each other when we discuss things instead of discussing things intelligently and innovatively? What does it mean by Australian values? Because, and as it is at the moment, with the education system in Australia being so poor, and the idea of teaching children the idea of chivalry and being a gentleman as a really good part of the value system of a civilized society is anathema to the present and contemporary education system run by feminists in Australia, who have a totally different value system to what may be a traditional value system where there's basically a balance between men and women. So traditional societies, there's a dignity about a woman cooking and doing that sort of basic and traditional roles that mothers, matriarch of the family, are not suppressed in Burma and Asia. They're not suppressed like people think they are. The matriarchs of the family, they're the mainstay, the kingpin and anchor of the family. They do their thing. And they share the load with the men, and the men share the load with the women. So there's a different value system that the feminists of Australia now say is a threat to women. It might be off the conversational trend a bit, or the thread, but that whatever this value system is that Malcolm Turnbull wants people to subscribe to, he ought to at least come out and describe it, because this man, recently, there's been, well, in the last few years, been a number of cases where no one has stood up for free speech in this country. No one has. They kicked out John Lomberg because he wanted to look at the economics of climate change. They drove him away. Malcolm Turnbull never said a dicky bird. There's a Muslim lady, Ariane Halley, whatever her name is, I forgot her name, I do apologise to her, who's a Muslim apostate, and she gets asked to have a bodyguard all the time. She wanted to speak in Australia. The Muslims said they would gang up and make sure she couldn't speak it, and Malcolm Turnbull couldn't say, hang on a minute, we'll put the army around that and let her speak, we'll protect freedom of speech. So what his values are, maybe, they're out of sync, is what would be called universal Western value system, which is about free speech, liberal views, and individuality, along with the variability of all cultures. The basic thing is, all you have to do is obey the law. Stopping someone speaking should be against the law. It should be against the law to censor films by protest. It should be against the law to censor people speaking by protest by Muslims who come here. The fact that Malcolm Turnbull can't stand up for these basic principles, the basic, what gives the foundation of all the things we value, then him demanding people subscribe to Australian values is a sort of another empty gesture, like innovation, jobs and growth. And it's a shame. And because free speech is so limited now in Australia, there'll be hardly any discussion at all between these people about what these values really ought to be about. But I don't mind speaking about it because some things are very, very valuable, and that's free speech, variability of the individual, and their individual right to question everything there is to question. Because if we don't have that right, there is nothing valuable at all about that society worth subscribing to. If we can't have free speech here, and it can't be protected by Turnbull, by the ministers, by protecting people who want to come to Australia to speak freely on whatever they like, then there's nothing of value that these people actually value themselves. They're valueless people, just spruiking up bullshit, thinking they're going to get popular and win an election. It's bloody pathetic. Well, no value in it at all. Bye.